live. All right. So, huge thanks to Juan for hooking this up. I'm really excited about this. We got Rakeden on the show today. Rakeden is one of the 3 Wax OIGs. Is that correct? Okay,
That's
cool.
correct.
I thought I remembered that from our first discussion about it, but I wanted to make sure. So yeah, Juan's been stoked about this. We had a great conversation about what the Wax OIG kind of is for and what it does. And I think I've been around Wax for many years now, and I didn't know any of that stuff. So I learned. I feel like I learned a lot more about how the collaboration of all the guilds and the block producers, that kind of thing, is going. And I'm super excited to sort of hear about your experience in that. But Juan, maybe sort of give us an introduction for Rakeden specifically.
Well, I think Rakeden has been an OIG for multiple periods. Isn't that the case, Rakeden?
It is.
Yeah, at least 2 periods, right?
Exactly 33 months an OIG member by now. So
Yes.
This is my 2nd term, and it's ending in August. And of course, I hope I can do another term.
It's ending if we allow it, right?
Right, you need to allow it.
So that was a question we had. So you are running again?
I'm running again. Yes, I have been nominated this
but
week.
You haven't accepted your nomination yet.
Exactly, because it requires you to fill in a description for your candidacy, and that comes with the responsibility to show the community your agenda or your strategy for the next 18 months, which I'm currently defining.
Yes, and I think that's something I'm missing with the candidates who have already accepted the candidacy. They talk a little bit about themselves, about what they have done in the past, but they are not really proposing something for the future. And I think that's really important, because one of the most important things is guiding Wax governance and the communication with guilds in the direction where we all want to see it go.
Absolutely correct. It has become a more versatile job than when I started in 2021, because when I started in 2021, the main duties of an IG were the reviews of guilds, right? And this is still something that can be learned and can be accomplished even by new candidates. You need a strong technical background, ideally development background, right?
Yeah.
But there's more to the job. It has evolved. It has evolved to a more versatile skill set by now, and I think the guilds now demand a little more than just guild reviews.
Yeah, in my opinion, the job should be less and less technical and more promoting and enabling the growth of the chain. But that's only my opinion. I'm not saying that that's how it is. But what do you think about that?
So we have loosely talked about establishing a Wax Foundation in the past, right?
Yes.
Which means basically extending the scope of the OIG, which naturally comes with a portion of strategy and communication and mentoring.
Yes.
And I think that's what's naturally is going to happen next inside Wax governance. The scope of aligning guilds, the Wax team with the community needs, enabling developers, creators, artists on the chain. This all has much more to it than just plain technical skills, of course. You need to think strategically. And you need to have some empathy for the non-technical people on the chain too, because not everyone is a developer here, right?
Yes, and I think the majority of the people who are playing with the chain are not developers.
That I would say that amounts to 98% of the chain's users.
Yes, Yes, and you know that's why I don't remember with who I was having this discussion and saying that resources on Wax should be called different because we have RAM, CPU, and net, and that's very difficult to understand for a normie. And but this person said, no, it's very easy. After a few hours, you fully understand it. Of course, if you are very technical, I think that you really understand it in a few minutes even. But
Yeah.
if not, yeah, it's not
It's
as
not.
straightforward.
You're right. It's not what the normie is used to, right? Usually you just
Yes,
have one token in your wallet, and that's your
yes,
utility token for the chain. You use it to pay fees, you use it to transfer tokens. You don't need anything else. You don't need to stake your resources or something. You just have a widely accepted model of fees. Low fees,
yes,
but that's the widely accepted practice out there. In that sense, we are unusual, I'd say.
yes.
So wasn't there a push, or hasn't there been some movement towards, creating the kind of thing where it can automatically kind of shift over to that, right? Like if you don't have enough CPU, it'll be like, oh, this is going to cost like 0.1 wax or whatever, right? Like I thought I heard about that. I haven't seen it really implemented anywhere except maybe on the cloud wallet once.
Yes, it is implemented already. I think it has been rolled out at the beginning of the year. It's a
Yeah.
well-known system for Antelope or EOS natives. It's called PowerUp,
Yeah.
which you can use to just pay for your transaction as you go, like a fee, instead of having to stake your resources to use the chain. And those fees are very, very low, like a fraction of a cent in some cases to just do a transfer. That's a new concept we have introduced, mainly to combat inflation on wax. Most of the chains operate on an inflation model. We do intend to push wax to become deflationary by introducing those transaction fees, for example.
So is it just a matter of implementation then? Like anyone knows this. I've been
Yeah.
minting out all the NFTs for the Wiener drop in the last little while. I keep getting CPU rate limited, and it makes me want to bang my head against the wall.
But are you using the cloud wallet or are you using Anchor?
Anchor, yeah, Anchor. Is that
Yeah,
a
I
problem?
think I think that might be the case, that with Anchor it might not be fully implemented, but I don't know.
Well, that's so. I guess like the on the normal on the like the specialized account wallets, they can't really use cloud wallet for that though, right? So
Yeah, I don't
probably.
know. Do you know if that's implemented for Anchor, Rakeden?
So you can head over to EOS Authority and rent your stake, your resources by paying a small fee. That's how it works currently. So that's how you can pay one time to rent the resources for a limited amount of time, which translates to you pay a fee to use the chain.
Okay.
Okay, but it's not really something that happens automatic like the cloud wallet that tells you have to pay this and you
Right.
pay it.
No, but as a dApp provider, I can power up all the transactions of my users, for example, if I wanted.
Yeah, which I think it's the worst mistake we have made in a long time.
Could be.
Because no, yeah,
That's maybe the
because
reason. Yeah.
I think that we are not helping the chain become deflationary, or we are not forcing users to stake enough wax. We are doing it for them instead of giving free flow to the tokenomics.
That's a good point. How it currently is set up is you can stake wax and you can get resources, and you can still then on top power up your resources, pay a fee to get more resources on top. So the staking for resources model is not gone entirely, and we don't plan to remove it entirely. It comes with all sorts of benefits. For example, if you vote regularly on Saturdays, you get your voting rewards, right? Which has a sweet APR of around 8%, I think, at the moment.
Yes.
So we enable both behaviors, but it's a very interesting point you can read on all the Telegram conversations frequently. Was outlined by Mike from Waxdao. He doesn't need to have a huge resource stake to deploy contracts, for example. So it enables development a little more. You can rent your resources for, I don't know, 0.1 wax, and that should be sufficient for you to upload your contract on chain and use it, and not have to stake hundreds of wax to have the resources to deploy the contract. So I think we are fine-tuning it towards being more fees in the future than resources at the moment, but we don't really want to take away the benefits of having stake on the chain, incentivizing people for buying wax from the market and staking it on wax to get the voting rewards. And ideally, we can even give more utility to the stake by DAOifying some parts of wax, getting the community involved in voting for several parts, right? There are numerous ideas out there.
And there, I think you just mentioned a very important topic, because we have the OIG election coming right now. Right now, we are on the nomination phase. We are still on the nomination phase, which will end in a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. It should end on Friday.
Correct.
And then comes the voting.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very challenging part, because historically we haven't had that many votes from the community. We need more participation. What's your take on that?
I wouldn't object to we need more participation.
Okay.
I would never object to that. I would like to have all the stakeholders on wax involved in the rough direction we are taking as a chain. We can't have it as detailed as every proposal we make as the OIG needs to be voted for by the community, right?
No, that would be too much. No, but I mean more for the election right now. I think it's very important that the whole wax community gets involved.
Okay, then you're touching what was the big critique on the last election. Last election where I got reelected. I had the least amount of individual voters, but I had the highest stake of voters, which equates to most of the guilds, or some of the guilds were confident in my work and in another term, and they're naturally the biggest stakeholders on wax, right? So they voted for me, even though I did get 100 individual voters. On the other hand, we had very popular candidates with Mike and Nick, excellent candidates on the last election, honestly. I would have voted for any of both to take over my term if I didn't want another one. And they together had like the 10-fold amount of individual voters.
Yes.
It is, however, a mechanic that can be cheated. I did not vote for myself. I did not nominate myself, for example. So anybody can make it look like you have 100 voters voting for you if you just dilute your stake on 10 accounts, 20, 100, and then I have many wallets voting for me. I don't think that's a very important metric. Another important metric, however, I see is the amount of wax taken to vote for elections. And that has increased over every past election we had. And that's a good sign.
Yeah. You know, something that that I don't fully understand, because as a guild, we always vote, and we always vote. I think last time we voted you. It's not a secret. That's something that you can check on chain. But it makes sense for a guild to vote for the IG who they think that that will be easy to work with, that will be objective in his evaluations, and so on. So there are many reasons for a guild to vote. But what are the reasons for the community? Why should they be voting? What is their gain here? How do they say this will be a better candidate for me than the other?
I was already sure before the call that you are going to ask the difficult questions here. So, of course, there are some positive attributes I would like to see in an OIG candidate. What we all want and all consent to is we want this chain to be a good example for decentralization. Any candidate that shows up and tells I can do this better and that better, and if I am elected, I will do this and that. I think that that's not entirely a red flag, but it shows the imagination of this is an institution with a head, and then you do it all downwards. You just command, you just delegate the work, the thinking and stuff. But that is really not what this position is about. I think it's more about decentralization, fairness, moral codex, communications, enabling talks. Those are the things I would look for: resolving debates, staying neutral, not having a very strong opinion about everything. So there are a few details I would look out for. Maybe we are in a stage where you would expect someone to be strategically thinking about the chain. However, we cannot expect that from new candidates that didn't have previous Web3 governance experiences.
Yeah, I think that's very difficult because people think that they will come here and, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and that. But in reality, the job, I think it's a lot of interacting with the WAX team, a lot of interacting with the guilds, and then figuring out what is possible. Is not because I want to do this, we will make this happen. I think it's too naive to think that things will go that way.
I think you put it exactly right. Like the OIG acts like the glue between community, guilds, WAX team, users on the chain. OIGs should be in the middle. You always need to have an ear for the community needs, requirements. You need to look out for that, right? Because ultimately you need to start working towards resolving those pain points for the community and for the developers on chain. How do you solve that? You need to influence the WAX team, you need to influence the guilds strategically to build towards that. And that's like the core value proposition for an IG, be able to bond those three parties on chain, those three most important parties on chain. The OIG is the glue, the community glue on chain.
Rakeden, what would you say are the top sort of highest level goals that animate what you guys do with all the guilds and with the community? Like what are, like, I mean, we could sort of like be kind of vacuous about it, like, oh, wax number go up, is that really the goal, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think anybody would complain, but like, how do you guys see that, and like what are the metrics that you guys pay attention to?
There are numerous communities on Wax. It's impossible for an individual IG to have their ears and eyes in every of those communities. So you get a distilled version of that, talking through with some community representatives, talking with the guilds. That's where you find out what's currently not working right. Correct? So in 2021, we had huge issues with our public APIs. We started seeing many errors on the client side. People are not able to use the chain. They are not able to log in. They are not able to make the transaction through to mint an NFT, to mint a drop, whatever they want to do on Wax. And that's where we as OIG say, okay, that's a high priority. We need to make this chain usable for every user. And that's an effort we can accomplish by having stricter rules, for example, on the guild side, requiring more quality, demanding more reliability on the API side. So we incentivize this on the guild side to enable the community need of having a useful chain, a chain they can use without any issues. For example, just to outline one of those things where we say the community has requirements and needs, and we need to put them into a framework which we can operate under and guilds can operate under, and that resolves the community need. That was just a simple example of why do we harden our requirements on the guild side for APIs, having 95% SLR, like service layer SLA on the APIs to receive points, to receive money for hosting those APIs on the guild side. clearly because the users need to be able to use the chain, for example. We see on the other side, the staking model is good, but it's not working out quite well on the developer side. That's a developer need and requirement we see often communicated. Hey, I need to have 600 wax to use this chain to do, or 300 or 100 even, to use this chain to just get the wax experience, trade a token on Alco or mint an NFT on the other side. It's not possible with 100 wax when the chain is under high usage. So we need to find a way to enable the community. So we are advocating something like the Power App, like a transaction fee model. So that's some implication that arose from just simple messages in Telegram channels where the community is outrageous. We can't use the chain because we don't have any stake. Developers are, why do I need 1,000 wax of stake to deploy a contract? The cause is often the community. We resolve it by giving the guilds a playbook to enable this or to resolve this issue.
This actually goes back to one of the things you were saying really struck me. And I think it's sort of at the center of where we land a lot with this. The Web3 industry as a whole, the comfort level, or just the fact that it's like basically normal now. You do a transaction, you're going to pay a fee, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, there's like 98% of the population in Web3. That's just how they think. I'm sure that number is ridiculous, but you get the idea, right? That's the vast majority. So could it be? Is it technically feasible first? But could it be like an overarching goal to say, like, we're going to set this up so that it's embedded, right? If you're going to run stuff on Wax, if you have all the staking stuff, all of it's handled. But the second, instead of seeing a CPU error that no noob is ever going to understand, it automatically just says, hey, you have to pay like 0.1% for this transaction and rock and roll and just make it standard.
That's an interesting idea, honestly. We have something similar on the wallet provider side with Wax, for example, powering up its users' transactions. And on the other hand, for example, Anchor, which is a self-custody wallet provider, having Greymass Fuel, their own form of power up, where they say, okay, there are some critical parts of the ecosystem which should always work. Like I need to transfer a token from my wallet to your wallet, right? That should be covered, for example. So that's where Greymass is providing such a service. I think we never discussed it. We never planned to have not Greymass Fuel, but Wax Fuel, for example, subsidizing the transactions for every user for such standard transactions. But that's honestly, that's some sort of feedback which I would expect to hear on the roundtable. Of course,
that's awesome. Yeah, even like I don't want Anchor or anybody else to do it. I want to pay it, right? Like if it just maybe it could be like
more like the power ups. You mean?
Yeah, but like don't even call them power ups, because like I, as a noob, I pay this over on Solana. I just want to pay it here, and I don't want to ever know what happened in the background. Like I'm an idiot. I don't need to know, right? Like the second we start telling noobs, oh, there's a power up, cool, that's another thing I need to know. On Solana, I just click the button and I get the thing.
I think I get what you mean. It's the UX side, right? Because if such a wallet provider would just enable you to tick a checkbox and now you have power up resources, that could solve the issue, right? It would just go unnoticed. You don't have to bother with how do I power up my resources, but it's just like I click it and it's done. I pay a small fee.
Right. Like I wonder if like just from it, because I think I sort of feel like we could do both, right? Like I think it was Crypto Short's title, like, man, you don't agree with this sentiment, but a small prohibitive cost makes sense. We've got this thing where like I've got a bunch staked or what have you, right? But just even today, like I ran out of CPU. But if it came up with like an automatic, instead of the error, if it came automatic, hey, if you have 10 wax or freaking 50 wax, would you pay it to get this transaction done? I would have clicked that button instantaneously. And if that's getting burned, now we're deflationary, right? And so, like,
Yeah,
anytime
but
anybody gets a CPU error whatsoever, if it could automatically just go, okay, hey, right, instead of, it's already popping up an error message. If that could pop up,
but I think that's
play some wax
basically
away, right?
naming, because that's what a power up is. What you want is basically making it part of
Right.
the on-chain mechanics without having an extra name for it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. If and you're totally right, Rakeden. Like, just the user experience thing is probably what I'm kind of hammering at here, right? Like, if somebody's new on the chain or what have you, that error pops up, they're gonna have to go research what the fuck CPU is now, right? Which is fine, right? Like, we all educate people and we're all used to it here, so it's like, yeah, just fucking figure it out, right?
No, but
it'd be
I
really
agree with
interesting
that.
if it just happened.
I agree with that, in the sense that the less concept you have to learn, the easier it is for the end user. It's the same like if I go to Solana, I want to make a transaction, I press confirm,
Yeah,
and
done.
that's it. Here I have to confirm, then I have another pop-up, I'll review all the transaction, then again and back, then it goes. And if I have to power up or whatever, then it's more complex. So yeah, I think that
Even still,
we could
if it just
simplify it more.
maybe, yeah.
Pretty inspiring idea. Like I could imagine. I don't know if it's technically possible or if there are any plans to implement such a behavior, but I see what you mean. Like, you send a transaction, you don't have enough state, you get the billing CPU error back to the front end, right? What would be a good UX is it just folds over to another pop-up. Do you want to pay fees instead? Click, boom,
Yeah.
it's done, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think I've heard that before, honestly.
Yeah, but I think that would be friendlier for the end user.
Well, and really, so would the wax get burned? Or
The
could the wax
getting
get
burned.
burned? Because like that now we've got like a number, because we're all like fucking around with the meme coins and stuff now, right? Like, that burn number is significant, right? Like, we keep looking at CWIF over on Solana, they got like 46% burn, they got a $26 million market cap. We're like, we want to go to there, right? But if Wax suddenly had this metric where, okay, we're using it, you could stake all your stuff still and get all your CPU if you're like technically, like, if you're, everybody in this room kind of understands that, right?
But Corey, now that you mentioned that, I think that what we have on Wax is a communication problem, because that's already happening with the power ups.
Wait, didn't you say that the OIGs should be better at promoting all the communications?
Yes, and that's what we are going to discuss right now with Rakeden.
Let's go.
But I think that
let me know how can we do that better.
No. What I was saying, that maybe it's a communication problem, because what is already happening with the power ups is that is helping Wax become deflationary.
Yeah.
But maybe we are not communicating it as much as we could to the community and make them understand how that really works.
How much has been burned?
How much has been burned?
Like, this is the thing. Wax needs to post this every 5 hours.
That's
not every 5 hours, but like every day. That would get traction. I would have to share that.
Oh, okay. I need to connect with YouTube. Maybe you can redirect it, but I'm just sending the link here to the EOS Authority Block Explorer.
Corey can resend it.
Yeah, I'll post another thing.
Which shows the power-up fees collected and how much power-up fees stake is currently up, when it is expiring, and how much of the CPU is reserved for power-up, for example. What we can see from that graph is that the power-up fees collected per day is increasing since we introduced power-ups. So it's taking a while to be adopted by the community. That it helps the chain become deflationary at some point. It's very nice. It's good to know, but I don't.
Right. So I think
don't think people don't get.
Yeah, we need to simplify it. That's on the communication end. Like, all of these stats are amazing. Where's the burn number? Right. That's the only number.
I see your
only
point.
number that matters. Right. Because like I'm thinking, if I'm in a communication sort of position, right, there's a gazillion people out there. They don't understand anything we just said. They literally don't know. Right.
And I fully agree with what you say. And I think that goes back to my point where I say that the IGs should be less technical and more commercial to some extent, because this is something that we should be selling to all the community. Guys, look, this is good. Power ups are good, but we are focused on the technical part of the power up and not on the real benefits that the community will get if they start using more the power ups.
It's an important detail for an investor and share and stakeholder in Wax, right? One would say, it just baffles me that most of the people don't know that Solana has an inflation which was even higher than our inflation on the chain, right? People don't think about it. They are not interested in the fact that Solana had an inflation over 5% since it was launched. It's now, so it was concepted to decrease over time. So the Solana inflation is around 5% or lower than that. But it's not like anyone came to me and said, "Hey, it's a good investment because the chain has become."
I didn't know that at all. But I think like people are starting to pay attention to that, right? Because I think Juan and I talk about this all the time. So like Wax is so close to the bottom right now that it just screams opportunity to me. Like it drives me nuts that more people don't know this, and so we yell about it to anybody that'll listen. But I like that comparison is really amazing, right? So like a single web page has the actual amount that's been burned, has the inflation rate, compares it to Solana. That's it.
That's good. So on the page I shared, you can at least see how many fees have been collected in the last 24 hours and how many have been collected during, I think, the last month. But I'm pretty sure they're lacking the feature of showing the total of power up fee collected.
So is that burned? Is that what you're saying? Like the power up fee is also burned?
Yeah.
Okay. So hey, I didn't know that. Okay, that's important.
So there was a white paper published there is on the GitHub repository from Wax. I'm just pulling it up. There is a really good graphic and also an interactive page which shows how Power Up is working and where the fees are distributed, right? I need to pull that up. I'm pretty sure we have had it on screen when we intended to launch Power Up, and we have informed whoever was interested in the roundtable ever since. The number has increased, of course, so we have started 6 months ago, but we had it on screen multiple times to inform the people, and I think that's totally a must-do for us, right? Whenever we introduce such a concept and the implications that come with such concepts, we surely need to present them to the community in a way which is easily understandable.
Yeah.
It's got to translate to degen, basically. And you know, Juan and I will do everything that we can to amplify that, right? Like that's a huge part of what we want to do with the show. It's like I love having these conversations because again, like I've been around Wax for a long time, but there's so much that I still don't know. And then if there's any way we can figure out to like, you know, translate it into ways, because like we all think, everybody in this community is constantly thinking, you know, if we can get the attention of, you know, 1% of the people in our capital on Solana or Base or any of these other things and show them the opportunity that exists here in a way that is really palatable, shit will blow the fuck up, if you'll excuse my French. It'll be insane, right? So, you know, if it's just sort of a matter of what is the user experience that they're used to, let's get to there this week, right? Like that's massive necessity. If they come over here and like somebody says, oh, there's like a power up and there's a thing and then the stuff and then they're probably asleep already, right?
Right.
Because they're really used to that flow and they'll pay out the nose for transactions and we can burn it all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I honestly can't think of any time where we had people come over from other chain and say Wax sucks because of the resource model. Often people come to Wax and look for a more reliable and more affordable chain to build on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But then the people that come here as noobs and get faced with that, they don't tell anybody that that's why they left.
Yeah. True.
Right. Or that they just decided to not pay attention. Right. If there's like an industry standard user experience that the vast majority of people are used to, then if it's technically possible and if it's not a massive lift, we get to adopting the most similar thing that we can as quickly as we possibly can, because we got to reduce friction, right? Like if it's possible for us to reduce friction to the 99% of people in Web3 that aren't here, I think we got to do it.
Yeah, if we put people into what they went through or go through on Solana, But honestly, our community would be fuming and shouting at us what the fuck we
this
are
is the
doing.
thing. We have things that are fundamentally better at core, right?
Yeah.
But 600 times the market cap on Solana, they don't care. Right? They have like their MetaMind analog, or not MetaMind, sorry, their MetaMask analog, and there's like a thing that they're used to. Well, Paca bringing this up, the browser extension would be really nice.
Sorry to interrupt there, Corey. They don't have a MetaMask analog. They have a world-class wallet because Phantom is 10,000 better than MetaMask. Sorry to say that.
But it's the same. It's the same kind of thing, right? The browser extension. I use Phantom now. People are yelling at me to use Phantom. I'm using Phantom now. I totally agree. It's really awesome. But like Paca's totally right about the browser extension, like that kind of thing, right? If we on the product side, like we keep thinking about, okay, I keep constantly thinking about, okay, what's working over there? Beam tokens are obviously insane. So we're trying to adopt those things. I just want to figure out that learning curve so we can, basically attract again 1% of the capital that's over there.
Yeah, but wait, and here I'm going to give my kudos to the IG, to the OIG again, because for example, yesterday we had a call where Lucas, the CTO from Wax, was present, and he was sharing all the progress and so on. And I am pretty sure that most of the community does not know that that there is
Wax mobile.
Yeah, exactly. There is a mobile app for the Wax Cloud wallet. You will be able to have your wallet in your mobile and use it in a very nice way, the way you use Phantom, for example. And that will happen, I think, in a couple of months
June.
Or something like that. In June, right? So, so a lot of things are happening on Wax. What happens is that even if these calls from the OIG are public, anybody can join. There's very few people joining.
Well, and I think that's where hopefully you and I can do our part in because again, like any OIG that's out there, anybody that's part of that community, Rakeden, it's so good to have you on, because then like now we're focused, right? Like this is and again, like as somebody who's been around for a long time, I'm learning tons. So, like I want to do this all the time.
I think we're getting better at that, honestly. It involves, but it not only involves the OIG, it involves also you guys doing that and keeping the community informed about those things, relaying what we talk inside the OIG, the thoughts, sharing them with the community, keeping them informed and also educated, right? I think it's a collective job. It makes it hard to assign it to one entity. But I wish for every guild out of our guild roster to have such a weekly call, for example, for all their followers, for all their guilds, for all their community members.
It's almost like you could assign points to that and then track it as the OIG.
Possibly. We have a very diverse guild roster. We have some people that are very technical, though. I don't expect them to make a good talking partner for other things than tech, but I think it's twofold. Like we have the marketing affine guilds on the one side, we have the tech affine guilds on the other side. Some early thought is we should host some kind of workshops or technical calls orchestrated by the guilds for developers. Like once a month, you can join a call, 2 hours long. We show you how do resources work on Wax, how do you deploy your contract, how can you create the token contract, how can you build a simple website for it, for example. That's some sort of initiative. Why not?
don't teach them how to build a token contract. They are better off using launchbags.
There it is.
Why should they learn that?
You're right. We have some custody solutions for that. For example, WaxDAO having like the contract, the contract, the possibilities to define a contract and launch it. However, we see often developers don't trust other people's code. It's,
I see that, but it's kind of I think that's kind of not a very good idea, because it's easier to trust something that has already been audited, that has been developed by people who are developing all the time, instead of doing something that you did because you were able to follow a tutorial. I think the quality and the security, the safetiness of that code will be very different. But yeah, I agree. There's there's a place for everybody here. So we should have both.
I hope we can have both and we can balance it out perfectly so that we can get the best of both sides.
Yeah,
That's a difficulty at the moment because, as you know, we have the purely technical scores on the one side, we have the product scores on the other side.
yes.
It's nice to incentivize pushing the one side more than the other, but we always need to keep it in balance between the very technical folks and the marketing folks.
Yes, I fully agree with what you're saying there, and I think that this is exactly where I wanted to go, and I wanted to ask you what your take on that, because I think that having very robust and solid guilds that are very strong from a technology point of view, it's very important. But on the other
It is.
hand, having guilds, because in this case it's guilds doing everything, having guilds that are good at growing a business, at creating a real enterprise, a real company around what they are doing, it's also very important if we want to see the Wax blockchain grow and become something bigger. If we keep on promoting the existence of one-man shops as a guild, in my opinion, we are doing it wrong, because we will never enable Wax to grow and be a lot of organizations, a lot of big groups trying to do something together and benefiting from the work of each other. What's your take on that? Do you think having one-man shops as guilds is a good idea?
No. I think a good guild with the goal to make it into top 21 would consist of more than one member. I'm 100% sure of that. I was breaking my head for the past 4 weeks because I received some feedback. We had some feedback from Michael from Wax USA on one roundtable, where he claimed we are losing the technically strong guilds because we are comparing apples with peers when we try to compare value and service providers from the community's perspective, right?
Yeah.
I found it particularly interesting to decouple what we do on the technical side from the product side. I do think the funding avenues for developers and products are not ideal to enhance what we are currently building and to foster innovation on the chain. I think if you are required to get all that technical stuff on Wax, hosting nodes, getting familiar with all the software components that you need to make a good score to be on a good position on the guild roster, that's simply not as effective as if we had people that are very strong in this, but don't require this for every guild. So just loosely talking from inside the OIG, we had ideas of mini guilds. Like, you don't have the initial capital to have APIs, but you have a great product idea on Wax. We should enable the development of such an idea without all the hard requirements, server costs, infra costs, DevOps team. That's hindering a little bit the output we can have. And on the other side, we have Wax Labs, which works out pretty well this year or since 12 months. So we have seen a huge increase of labs proposals, more than ever. We have funded a few cool products. We have helped guilds funding the maintenance and future development of their products or platforms. That was good though, but I think it can still improve. And this is a third thing we need besides the technical and product guild. Let's call it product guild. We need to have an easy way for developers to come into the space, have a good idea. The idea needs to be accomplished by the community, ideally. Hey, this is something that we need. We want that on chain. They should be involved in the funding of such ideas.
You know, I fully agree with all of what you say, except for one thing. I think we already have amazing developers. We don't need more amazing developers. We need amazing business people. We need amazing marketers. We need people who really wants to grow what we are doing on chain. We need people who's able to shout to the world and convince them that Wax is the place to be. At least that's my opinion,
so,
you know?
Yeah.
And again, like Juan and I have been talking about this a lot. I think it's real, right? This is kind of why I was asking about like, what are the overarching goals? If the overarching goal is to make the perfect blockchain that nobody uses, let's just keep doing it. Like this is working really well, right?
Side goal.
I mean, I'm here,
Yeah.
right? So it's not to no one, right? But it was just like the if the overarching goal is to let everybody know that you guys have already built an amazing machine and it's getting better, then if the guilds are the ones that are running all of this stuff, then having some kind of metric for gathering attention in a really productive way seems like it would be some low-hanging fruit potentially.
Absolutely right. I think you nailed it with we have that machine already.
I should for sure agree. It's amazing.
It should improve where this machine generates value for the community,
Yes.
right? The value generation we can get out of this machine. That's really not easy to solve. It needs a little bit of experimentation. It needs innovation, always needs like experimentation.
Yes.
I don't think there's anyone out there showing how it's done correctly. So it's a very explorative way, but we can, however, listen for the pain points. Where are we failing in generating this value, and have initiatives to improve the situation, right?
And I don't even think it's failing, right? I think there's just some things that we're just not doing yet, not at scale, right? I mean, so right now, like the number of people that are here is one thing. We know we need to increase the number of people that are here, and like the stuff that WUF is doing, like there's it's not like nothing is getting done, and I think there's a lot of people that are showing what can be possible. It's just like, how do we incentivize the guilds and really every project that's on Wax to come together with the same intent of, hey, we want to, basically add 100 times the number of people that are here right now. Let's get to work, right? And you're going to find a lot of people that want to do it.
But I think that there you mentioned a very good point, which is at scale. You said at scale, and that's one of my questions for Rakeden here.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, decentralized proof of stake is not built to scale, and that is one of the points that it's preventing Wax from growing. Let me expand on that so that you understand what I mean. If I go, for example, to Ethereum, and let's say that that liquid staked Ethereum didn't exist yet, you create that and you start growing, and you can say, okay, for every 32 ETH that you have, you can set a validator and so on. So liquid staking company can grow as much as they want, as long as they are capable of attracting more investors who want to stake their ETH. So I can grow a business and have as many nodes as I want.
Could you explain that a little bit? I don't know. I don't really understand how that part of stuff works. Could you walk that through that?
For example, on Wax, and in most of the delegated proof of stake blockchains, we have 21 active validators and a certain number of standbys. On Ethereum, there's no limit for that. If you want to be a validator, you set up a validator and you start setting up validators, and you can set up 10,000 validators if you had enough money to do it, and you will get some rewards and blah blah blah. Same as go to Bitcoin. You buy more miners, and the more you buy, the more chances you get to be the next one to validate a block and get the reward. So you can scale if you invest more, but here we have that problem. We cannot scale from that point of view.
Let me add something to this a little bit.
How can we scale here?
Yeah, is there a way from a technical perspective, or even just as an idea, to do what Juan's talking about, but still keep the 21 guilds idea in a way. Because I mean, I think I see from a community standpoint how that's been really powerful, right? It's not just about a bunch of random miners in Saudi Arabia or whatever. I mean, I like honestly, EOS early days was like that. Everybody was just buying votes, and it wasn't nobody was really doing anything, right?
but it's the same problem, Corey. It's 21 plus standbys.
Well, no, and there's the thing. Like, what if, from a mechanics point of view, you know, as long as you were producing blocks, you could have an infinite number of validators in that way, but then secure the things that the guilds are doing that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
interesting.
But then your delegated proof of stake, I don't know if it becomes something completely different.
Well, maybe, right?
But we have a comment from Kiefer there. Let's see what Kiefer says.
That's a misconception, though.
Here, let's put it up here. That's a misconception, though, because it does not introduce more money, but takes away from other people that would be earning otherwise. Is that, Kiefer, do you guys understand that? I don't really get it.
Yes, I would need to have a little bit of more context there. What exactly are you referring to, Kiefer?
All right, we can wait for that.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on this, Rakeden?
Interesting that you asked me. I'm not that experienced with POS chains, but I've researched becoming a validator on some other POS chains until I found that most of those chains tend to slash your stake when you don't have the quality on the producer that the network requires you to have, right?
Yeah,
so
that
if you
also
miss
happens
rounds,
indeed.
the producer is down. So that led me to believing that the best validators and those validators that rake in the most stake are mostly technical, right? They are large companies. They have a technical team dedicated to it. It's not like you can book a service. Here's your Ethereum node, stake it, and we run it for you.
No. But it's a little bit. Think about Rocket on Ethereum. They have RETH, and what they do is that they require a fraction of what is really needed to set up a validator, and you get rewards on Ethereum, and you get rewards with their token too. And then, they of course, they must have a team of very solid engineers, but they also have a team of people doing the marketing to attract more investment. So let's say,
So from Kiefer, and by the way, thanks for explaining. So it would just be a run for the money. People would throw more money at it to scale their earnings up. Then people that invested earlier would have to increase their exposure or fall behind.
Yes, that's a little bit it. You have to keep on putting money in to keep on doing money.
Well, and it's basically whatever the inflation, yeah, right. Whatever the inflation is. Well, and this is sort of and we deal with this in games all the time too, right? Like whatever the inflation is, people are going to use part of what they get in from whatever their stuff is to be staking back in to be earning more. See also all of DeFi. But now I do want to touch on this briefly. And again, this is from a guy who doesn't understand it. I really want to get you guys' take on it, but doesn't add value and takes away security from people investing. I don't really understand that, but like, I see the value that the guilds do, and I'm a little biased because I know Juan, and I really like, everything I've learned so far, Rakeden. I really like what you guys are doing. So like, I don't want us to lose the governance bit of it, but if there's a way to like crank up the money, again, Solana, 600 times the market cap of Wax right now. That's 6 with 2 zeros. It's non-trivial. So if there's anything we can learn from that, or if there's anything we can adopt from that again, like doesn't take away from anything that we've built, but hopefully adds to it, I think it's worth exploring.
I think I'm pretty sure Solana just did an ICO at a very good time, raking in so much capital from investors, which now is locked in, right? And if you observe this bull market, I'm pretty sure L2 is some kind of narrative which investors are looking at. So those projects that are currently funded will exceed any other chain in valuation that has been launched 4 years ago, but it doesn't necessarily make a better product, right? So it has shifted a little bit. Legacy or existing blockchains are struggling to find investors. At the moment, every other project that just launches gets all the valuation, all the money. The narrative around DeFi is a particular dirty one to me, specifically, because there's what usually happens is there's an alleged airdrop happening, right? So how
Yes.
does the value get? So how does the airdrop get in value? By the chain's valuation. Why does the chain have a valuation? Because a VC raked in a lot of money before the chain launched. What does it do for the community? They generate fees, they generate numbers that seem to be important for other investors, but not for other users. That brings in more capital, and the community access exit liquidity for those VCs. It's a very unnatural movement, which is happening at the moment with younger chains and their valuation. Because at the end, okay, Solana has good numbers. They have a high TPS, they have many tokens launched, they have a high volume, they have a high trading volume, and nobody can explain where this all comes from, right? But it is what people, what draws in people into the chain, seeing possibilities to make some money.
Yeah.
So I think that I want to go back to what Keck was saying, and I want to give Keck a shout out because I mean, like everybody dropping meme coins right now got really excited about it, watching the fucking insane new frog on Wax get started. I watch them on Twitter every single day, and it really is about let's go get attention. And again, like we're learning from projects like Bonk or CWIF or Dogwoof had all these ridiculous freaking meme tokens, whatever, right? But I mean, there's things that we can learn from that, and it really redounds to, is the Wax machine good? Yes. Can it be better? Probably, right? Like we could adopt some UX stuff. Again, that's not like make or break, I don't think. The make or break thing right now is if literally everybody in Web3 was like basically, here's, with the market cap on Solana, here's everything that Wax can do and can do better. Where do you want to put your capital right now? Right? There's a significant probability that would have a massive impact. So it really could just be the system could be perfect. The machine could be a fucking Ferrari. If nobody knows the Ferrari exists, it does not matter. Right. And so like having these projects that are going out there. And again, like I'm obviously biased, like we're running a show. I'm trying to yell from the rooftops the whole time. Right. So like it's just this is the house that I live in. Right. So of course it makes sense that I would be, ranting about that. And, obviously watching and trying to learn from the people that are really good at it. But I mean, that I think is going to be a big piece of it.
Okay. Need to share one thought with you, which I discovered during last week when I was having like 4 or 5 days off. So I was trying to get educated on DeFi. Specifically, it started with on-chain lending and borrowing and what it could bring to Wax, right? What it brings is it's like 3 letters composed into one word that's pretty well known, MEV. Like the maximum extractable value. And that's exactly what users are looking for. They need to see price action volatility on charts, and that's what's very appealing to them, and that's what leads to those users being engaged in tokens, meme tokens on those other chains, right? To a part, it's some kind of casino, one would argue. Right? You're looking for a token that has been launched 4 hours ago that can do 10,000x or whatever. That's common to find out there. But what really bugged me was there is one of the VCs on Solana. The company is called Multicoin. They are in the industry for a very long time. They are a VC investor of many chains, Solana including. Do you know what those guys, when they do conference or presentations with other people, what they say is their main criteria for valuation of a chain? MEV. So
sorry, what was MEV again?
Maximum extractable
value.
I mean, so is that not true for literally everything everywhere though? See also Wall Street?
Potentially, yes.
Right. And I'm not saying that like I don't want to necessarily focus on that, but like we're in a capital business, right? I mean, that's sort of that's kind of what we're doing, right? So like if that's something that we can learn from and figure out how to leverage that ideology, but keeping our own values, maybe that's something that we should take a look at. And again, like I'm not really sure what that looks like, but it might be
I don't know either. I don't know either, but that's exactly what I'm trying to find out, to be honest.
Let's go. What do you guys think about Keck's comment here? Sorry, Juan, finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, Keck is asking, can we not build an algorithm like Twitter has for post coverage for BP rewards? And I think that's sort of like a function of attention. Keck, please, explain it better if I'm wrong about that.
I don't know how the mechanics on Twitter for post coverage is. Like, we are doing a requirement or a payment for guilds to promote wax, for example. Is that what's meant?
I think so. And so if we're talking about, Twitter has for post coverage, number of and this again, like we're trying to figure out what the algorithm is, right? Number of followers, number of most recent interactions or what have you, right? And then that just sort of gets amped up. So and I think, and Keck, please tell me if I'm wrong here, but just sort of some kind of metric for short-term attention gathering. And again, short-term attention gathering that isn't getting botted, because that's a huge problem on Twitter too, right? So finding some way to do that. And honestly, that might even be where they just keep going to the capital side of it, right? Because you can't bot capital.
That's a good mechanic. We should enhance it. We have it already. We have on the one side Wax ambassadors, right? You can earn a few Wax by sharing all the Wax messages, for example, the Wax ambassador program. There's a platform which you can sign up to. You can find the templates for your posts that you need to do. You need to, it has a gamified component to it, right?
That's cool.
That's one way. The other way is, and we had that stronger in the past, but we were unsure how to assess the value of this. We do incentivize still outreach. We call it outreach. So something like the Nefty show, for example, is incentivized through points. Not that those points are too relevant for Juan at the moment, but it is there's clearly an incentive to make those shows happen.
But I think that's exactly the problem. I think running the infrastructure should be, it's required. I don't give you points for this, but if you don't do it, you're not a guild. Go and do the promotion. There is where you get your points. Okay. The infrastructure, oh man, that everybody can set it. I can give you all my Ansible scripts and you will be able to set up your guild infrastructure in a matter of minutes and what it takes to synchronize chain or whatever. But that shouldn't give you a single point. Go, that's forgiven. That's a given. It should run yes or yes. And if you're not capable of running it, if you're not capable of improving on it, fine. But if you're not doing the marketing, if you're not bringing in new users, if you're not doing your homework, making this chain awesome, I don't give you a single freaking reward. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too extreme here. I'm being extreme here.
A little bit, maybe.
Absolutely love it. Oh, dude,
listen,
so
we need the technical competence, right?
I agree. But we should have it by default.
Yeah, but it was mainly due to the OIG that we now have that quality and reliability on the public-facing API side and service side, right? Look for an example how not to do it on some other Antelope chains which don't have such a framework, for example, and there the APIs are not responsible. Guilds are missing out on blocks, or BPs are missing out on blocks regularly. The public infrastructure over there is not that good.
No, I agree with you on that.
I think that's a perk we have on Wax, the quality of services on the API side and on the of course on the value side too. So we had that bundled in the past. We require guild. So no purely technical guild can become a guild on Wax at the moment. We structured it in a way that you don't have enough points to just be a guild by only providing servers and APIs and some wallet endpoint, for example. That's simply not possible. We do want people to bring value to the community actively. That's where we assign points, but that's where we require some points. And the competition has led to, you want to be a top 21 guild one day? Yeah, you need a really good product. You need to be engaged with the community. We need to see the value in what you bring here to the chain, so that we can incentivize you for building more and more and more.
No, that I fully agree. But my point is a little bit. I don't know if you remember Microsoft in the maybe 20 years ago, something like that. The relationship was for one developer, they had 3 testers, and I think it was around 10 marketing people for each developer they hired. So in the end, you see that making sure that the product is good is important, and making sure that the product is being promoted is way more important than developing it. That's basically my point with this.
So maybe not even way more important generally, but maybe way more important right now, right? Because I think everyone can agree everything on Wax is working pretty well. Again, like UX improvements, like I could want, right? That's totally fucking selfish. I had a CPU problem. I just wanted to click a fucking button. That's on me, right? It's just the whole thing. But yeah, so I think Juan and Keck might actually be going after the same kind of thing. Like, so a weighted system, BP does XYZ, gets assigned a weight. So an XYZ could be really simple. Right? We could be basically figuring out some metrics. How, what kind of things are you doing to go get attention? If you don't know how to do it, go and talk to the people that do, or bring them onto your team to get that, to get some attention, right? And go after it and get some metrics, like hit some minimum baselines that, we can agree are at least testable.
Yeah.
And then, have people going out and
But
doing
I
the
think
thing, even just as a
many-
small percentage of whatever the guilds actually need to do, right? And because then they could bring a Keck on to start yelling from the rooftops. If they don't have any ability.
Wait, Corey, because I think that many of these metrics are there.
Oh, okay. Well, see,
the OIG has an evaluation protocol, and they follow this evaluation protocol. That's part of their job, defining all of this.
Just to name a few, we look at TVL on collection. So we don't have many collections from the product side, but we look at on-chain transactions, right? TVL, social outreach. We do look into those videos, how the numbers are performing. We need to do that for every guild so that we compare where the guilds are standing. It's not like we have a then again, you can't really compare a new business to a business that has been around for 2 years, because Nefty has a huge community base, right?
Yeah.
And my next product is maybe not a marketplace, but I'm a new guild and I come to this chain and I have essentially a product with everyone is using, but nobody has seen it. I need to advertise it. I can't do the assumption that this product is not worth the value just because the numbers are not there yet already. So we take into account many objective factors when reviewing those products. In some cases, it's pretty easy. Someone builds a cool tool to enable other developers to build something, or does a front end or smart contract boilerplate. We see on GitHub, people like it, people fork it, people build with it. You sometimes can see on those libraries, it has been used by this, and this product, or all right, that's a purely objective, subjective. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's a clear metric where we can see, okay, the product performs here. Another product is young, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have the potential to overtake the other product. So you need to always take into account how long has the guild been around, how long has the product been in development. Is it growing? Is it not growing?
Right. I think that was sort of where I was headed, right? If we're sort of working backwards from the attention metric, and all that stuff is really, really good, right? And I think where Keck and I would probably agree is like all of those metrics, it sounds like they're going to work and be tracking things that are localized to this chain at this moment, right? I think can we get a metric that is, we all remember, like, the wax bull market last time was it was a bonanza, and there's a lot of reasons why it was a bonanza, right? But like, what can we do as a community of communities to coordinate like some ongoing outreach in a big way? Like the WUF thing was instructive for me, right? Get a bunch of partner projects, have a fucking blast, create some value. Look at everything we're doing with launch bags. It's gonna rhyme, right? Like there's a whole lot of things that we're doing there to try and be
Blast
similar.
Was a joke. Blast was a joke, because you can literally create your own collection over there and then trade it back and forth without fees,
Blast?
right?
I don't even know. I don't know
Blast was another L2 chain. I don't know who launched it.
Oh,
yeah, but they did an airdrop. But you know how you could game it? You can just create your own collections. There's no fee on this chain. You can just trade them from one account to another. You can have an insane numbers, and you can receive a lot of airdrop. I don't
There's
know.
too many ways to gamify anything. That's why, like, I spend more time just talking to humans, right?
We are
because I know
well
everything
over
can
that
be bought.
stage.
Yeah,
we are over that. We had that maybe in 2021, but we now boil down to a very organic community.
Agreed.
Like the people that stick around, they love Wax. They are true fans of what we are doing here, how we are unfolding all this narrative of NFTs and tokens, games, gamifying digital assets, collectibles, maybe in some future time, real world assets, even more. They do love the execution here. That's where I see our strength. The organic community is really much larger than on other chains, even though the numbers look slightly different. But people are engaged with this chain. You can even talk to your leaders. Go over to Solana and talk to someone from chain.
I mean, you're here.
Talk to a validator.
That's huge to me. And by the way, I know, like, thank you for coming and doing this. Like, just that to be able to have the conversation is really awesome.
Awesome.
For us.
I think we should
everybody
have it
who's
more
commenting,
often, honestly.
Dude, our door is wide open. Like, let's try and do this at least monthly, because
that would be
like
nice.
after your calls or whatever. I think it'd be fun.
Once a month, I'm in.
Fucking A.
That's
cool.
doable.
But before you go, let me ask you one of the tough questions.
Hit me.
Because,
buckle up.
There's this, and it's something that Kiefer mentioned recently in a tweet, and he says that the next IG that is going up, he wants to see him having the Wax Foundation as part of his goals and plans. But he got a reply. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was Kiefer saying that he thinks that's not part of the responsibilities of the OIG. I tend to disagree, because after reading the role or what are the tasks of an IG, governance is an important part of this, and proposing new ways of governance and the improvements on the current governance is part of this role. So I would say that a foundation, if it's governance oriented and it becomes an important part of governance, is definitely part of what an IG can propose and can work towards getting that done. What do you think about that?
So, interestingly enough, we talked about it last week. I know exactly Kiefer's stance on this. What he means with that is, so he definitely wants a Wax Foundation to happen. Me too. I think Kiefer is the one that is pushing this term out the most to everyone he's talking to, like the term of Wax Foundation. However, I see where the misunderstanding is, because by his most recent comments, proposing is the keyword, right?
Yes.
He and I fully agree with that. The OIG should stay the OIG with that scope that it's currently having. And then there should be a Wax Foundation on top of that too, because the Wax Foundation should be the one aligning strategically the community needs with the resources we have on the guild side and the resources on the community side, and should direct the OIG to just enforce the framework on the guilds, right? So the Wax Foundation makes the suggestions for the OIG, or writes down the framework, and the OIG doesn't write the rules and enforce the rules, but the OIG is then only responsible for enforcing the rules. And that brings it down to, it's a job that with some technical knowledge, with the developer knowledge, you can do then the IG role. And then that leaves more room for the Wax Foundation members to focus on strategic and comms and marketing and such things, which is currently not as clear as you might think, because the OIG, we can't just extend the scope to whatever we want it to do.
Right.
There's
limits. Wait, you can't do literally everything for everyone? Come on, man.
No, wait. Come on. It's really absurd thinking that 3 people will be able to do everything. Come on, when you have think about the Ethereum Foundation. I don't know how many hundreds of people work there. So
and I think we're mature enough to have that.
Yeah. So that's the point.
And that's where I see the Wax Foundation happening, just a complete other job scope than the OIG has currently, working with the OIG together.
Yes.
But the Wax Foundation has definitely much more serious problems to solve, issues to solve, and needs less practicing of evaluations and roundtables and organizing stuff than what the foundation should do.
Yeah.
Ideally, many have asked for a many have asked for a leader. The foundation should have a clear leader with a vision, a face for Wax to communicate what we are doing over here, right?
Yes.
Someone that you can look up to and say, okay, he's perfect. He is knowledgeable. He listens to feedback. He has a good strategic approach to grow the ecosystem. That's what you would expect from someone from the foundation.
Well, and not only that, what I would expect for someone from the foundation, from the head of the foundation, is if I go to an important blockchain event, he will be there. He will be there making connections, developing partnerships, and
exactly,
and doing that kind of job. He's kind of a real ambassador. Need to bring back my throne. I think we should have Kiefer here sometime.
Hell yeah!
It would be interesting to have some other perspective here also.
100%.
Yeah.
And Kiefer, thanks for being in the comments, man. Definitely.
Kiefer has been around since the inception of Wax.
Yes.
I don't think I've met anyone around that knows more about Wax. He was the one that introduced me to the job. Most of the things that I've learned about Web3 governance, I've learned from Kiefer and Joseph during the job, really. So I see that foundation happening. I don't know if in the near or the distant future, but we should be practical about it. We should start DAOifying many of the processes that we currently take. Rethink the approach to who needs to have a say in what. For example, the community should be more embedded in Wax labs, public goods. On the other side, an IG, which has to become a foundation member, needs to be able to take a step back, look at the whole picture, right?
Yeah. You know what's one of my biggest problems, or not problems, maybe a dilemma. I don't know how to explain it, but because when I think about the OIG election, the IG election, I don't want you, I don't want Kiefer, and I don't want Joseph to go away. I think the three of you, are really valuable for the Wax ecosystem, and I think there's a lot of people who feels and thinks the same. So we always vote the same, and we don't give the opportunity to other people to come in and be part of this. And I think that the foundation should allow us to achieve something like that, like having the people that we think is essential for Wax being always here, but also opening the doors to new blood, new ideas, new dynamics, which I also think are important.
Maybe it's a matter of like expanding instead of just kind of voting new people in. One thing I wanted to ask, just because it sort of came up to you guys, what is the difference? You keep mentioning a foundation. What's the difference between the way things are organized right now and a foundation?
I think the most important thing is when assessing the value of value providers, the ones that can strategically align the incentives with what we want to happen shouldn't be the one that review those skills. I think that's the most important one, right? On the other hand, I do believe that the Wax Foundation has a explorative scope. It's not defined yet, but it surely has a scope which we can't define. The job is this task, and this duty that can't be defined, right? There's no very positive example out there on how to do such a foundation approach, I would say. So we need to take our individual requirements and needs and build their foundation around that. And that's more community involvement, more stakeholders say, more generation of value. There could be many initiatives to get into that direction. we are still in the phase of exploring how a foundation would look like and which role a foundation member clearly has. We are exploring that at the moment. But I think we are exploring that while we try to extend the scope of an OIG. And I think that's not the best way to do it. So I would like to think more, to do more here on this chain. But this week has been hell. We are doing technical reviews, roundtable, full reviews, Nifty show, tomorrow another show.
Right. Hey, what show are you going on tomorrow?
I was just asked, or not tomorrow, but on Wednesday on Wednesday. So next week.
Next week.
NFtopia.
Cool.
Very cool.
She's a co-host, and she just politely asked me if I have time to join it next Wednesday, June 12th at 18 UTC. Tomorrow, I think only one meeting. We are meeting internally every Monday, Thursday. We are aligning. What are you working on? What are your problems, issues? We need to talk about reviews. That's what's happening also tomorrow. Other than that, I'm really, really busy with bringing down to paper what I imagine my next term would look like, what I want to achieve, what I want to work on, what I want to enhance, what we shouldn't do.
And remember that you have to accept your candidacy in 2 days, right? Don't fail. You
no,
have
won't
to do
forget.
it.
Won't forget. 100% won't forget.
Awesome.
I think it's a perk that I've been hosting the roundtables in the past 6 months. So now many people know me. During the last election, there were some wild comments out there. People didn't believe that I'm a real person because they never saw me on camera or something. There were even comments that I'm a bot, that I'm controlled by someone from inside the Wax team or whatever. I think.
Wait, are you though? I mean, AI is getting pretty good.
I'm alive. Yeah, I could. Yeah, no, I'm alive. I'm a human. I have feelings too.
I
have feelings too.
That's entirely
Man,
fair.
come on. If you're here on blockchain, you're not allowed to have feelings. You're not allowed to failure. Come on.
Man.
You have to take this serious.
Yeah, correct. I'm
correct.
totally programmed.
I also fuck up with the feelings.
So this has been good though.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. How long is the show planned to be? 60 minutes around?
We
have
a hard cap at 6 minutes ago. So you fucked that up
by
being too interesting. So
when we started the show,
he's a real boy now.
It's going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be a 15-minute everyday show.
Yeah.
I think we never did it.
No, not one time.
And after 3 days, it was 1 hour 15 minutes. So we said hard cap is 1 hour 15 minutes, but several times we exceed the hard cap anyway. So yeah.
When we have you every month, we don't want to keep you longer than that. But I just felt it was really awesome to be able to pick your brain and be able to have a longer conversation.
Though. We had a wonderful conversation today. I hope we can have it next month too. Month.
Yes.
No,
cool. I don't know. Rakeden, I don't know if there's something you can share with the audience before we finish the show today.
Keep on tuning in on the Nifty show if you're interested in Wax governance. There's a public Wax network governance channel on Telegram. You can find it linked on every other group. Join it, get involved, start discussing with us on the roundtables, or join them just to be informed of what's happening currently on Wax. You don't need to talk, you can only listen in. And I hope I will see you guys soon again.
For sure.
Yes, and awesome, please, guys, if there's someone who still wants to run for OIG, you still have 2 days to get in. And next week it's voting week. So let's have all the support that we can get.
Awesome. Yeah, and obviously, if there's any candidate, we'll have you on as well, and be able to chat about your platform and stuff. And actually, Juan, do you have that Telegram channel, right? Because I want to get that out to everybody, just because
I have those channels.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll post it everywhere today.
I'll inform you quickly about one thing that's happening next week, because I don't want to moderate the debate that I'm part of. Next week, Tuesday, we are doing an NEO takeover of the roundtable. So we are hosting a platform for the candidates to introduce themselves and hopefully have a good debate on what we can improve.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yes. And also here on the show, we will have Mana. I don't know when will we have him, Corey?
He was gonna do the Calendly today, so I'll find out. I'll ask him.
Okay, that he will be next.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, perfect.
We'll figure it out. And yeah, so you heard Bad Gifter was wanting to do that as well, right? Is that happening? Because Bad Gifter. No, you told Bad Gifter was talking about applying maybe or whatever.
Bad Gifter, I didn't hear it. He was a candidate. I mean, or no?
Well, anyway, like Juan said something about it. I don't know if it was confirmed.
Yeah,
or whatever,
I think that he's also there as a candidate. We have to check if he can join the show. Indeed.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I'll reach
out.
Nice.
Okay.
Awesome, man.
Cool.
All right. Thanks again, and great to meet
nice
you.
Talking to you.
Yeah, it was. This makes me more excited for Wax. Like just even to kind of learn what you guys are doing already. Not because we can all have like tons of ideas and shit, but you guys have been grinding on this for a long time, and it's just really cool to kind of learn about it. And obviously, if there's any way that we can help, we want to do it. And I know honestly, most of the people in this community are really hungry to do that too. So we'll find them ways to help amplify whatever you guys are up to.
Perfect. We need any input we can get. Honestly.
Yes.
All right, man. Cool beans. All right.
Thank you.
Juan,
Have a great day.
Thing. There it is. The 2 thumbs up.